bottles and running pony rides at Amber and George's school with her favourite horse. Ali moved back to Folkestone when Mum became ill and began a social life in Folkestone, playing badminton at the sports centre with the badminton crowd. Andy remembers a time when Ali had finished her badminton match and walked around the corner to pick up Andy from her skiing lesson. Andy was 15, was going through a geeky phase, and Ali appeared in her little badminton skirt, which actually we all know was the undoing of Pete, with the ski instructors all exclaiming, "Wow, who is that?" and Andy mumbling, "My sister." And the guys looked amazed, saying, "No way." Andy didn't mind. She was proud to have a big sister who looked like a rock star, especially as she was completely unaware of the effects that she had on the opposite sex. We met Pete after he plucked up the courage to ask Ali to a party after meeting her at badminton, that little skirt. She turned up late to the party, not realising that Pete had been as nervous as hell, waiting for her to arrive, got rather squiffy, but managed to find her out her address. Pete turned up at our house on Valentine's Day, and they went off for the day together. The red rose which he bought for her staying in the back of his car till later in the day, and I think a little wilted. Ali had a wonderful day, but the relationship nearly didn't go any further, as Andy nearly sabotaged their next date, as she forgot to tell an anxious Ali that he had telephoned to ask her out again, and both thought the other wasn't interested. Oops. Pete tried again, and Andy was in the doghouse. Mum had a feeling about Pete from the start. Like Ali, she was a good judge of character and thought Pete was good news in Ali's life. She was thrilled to bits when they became engaged a few months later. Pete slotted into our family, moving into our house with Ali before they got their own place. Ali was also a loving and supportive godmother to Alison, the daughter of Nicola, honorary sister and friend from childhood days in the Bahamas. Alison spent a couple of very special days with Ali in April and never forgot a birthday, Christmas, or special occasions. She wrote the most beautiful bubbly letters and gave the most personal gifts. Alison is so proud to be named after one of the best. A lot of our life might sound idyllic, but there have been some sad times too, ones that always have an impact on our lives. We weathered them together, events which strengthened the bonds between us. No matter the distance, then reunited for wonderful moments, like the 6 months we spent together as a family when Andy came to New Zealand to have little Sam. 3 months all together before Sam was born, eating way too many muffins and spending lots of sunny days in our pool. The scene was a mirror image of our times as 3 young girls in England playing in the family pool, with our parents sitting at the poolside, watching us and teaching us. Here we were, again, but in Christchurch, still 3 daughters in the pool, maybe a few more wrinkles and a little wine instead of juice, but now we had some very special new members in the scene, our husbands, sons and daughters, and a grandfather sitting watching. Time for lazy days followed, and then Sam decided to make his appearance. Ali waited at home with Scott for news, getting impatient as she would. They drove to the hospital. If they couldn't be in the room, she would be close by. Finally, Simon came out of the room and said Sam had arrived, but Andy was tired and maybe they should come back later, before he went outside then to get some fresh air. Ali and Scott nearly listened, but instead smiled sweetly, waited for him to disappear, and slid into Andy's room. A little while later, Andy emerged from the shower and with extreme relief found Ali and Scott, all smiles and in full control, bathing little newborn Sam. There was that link, that as a sister, you just know when you need each other. I know you're gone, but to be honest, I don't believe you're gone. A body and a person can pass away and fade, getting fainter with time. But we can't imagine anybody we know leaving the mark the way you do. Your face and attitude are burned into ours, and I'm sure everybody's hearts and minds permanently. Thank you for this and for living the way you did. Life is for taking and making, and if you can't laugh along the way, then you're wasting it. You were relentless. You were always hopeful in hopeless situations or to hopeless people. You are in all of everybody you knew, more than any in your family. There is a genuine strength that's rare in the world. You, your children, and Pete all have it. I'm talking to you now, not at you or about you. I'm talking to the dead, and I'm happy doing it. I don't want to think of you as a memory, but as somebody that lives in me and the rest of our family, as a past and as a guide to our future. It's a memory, one that never died when you were alive, and one that won't go anywhere when you're gone. I'm sure you've completely ripped the crap out of everyone you know, more because I don't want to believe I was the only one. You either did it under your breath with pained constipation written across your face, or if you couldn't hide it, just burst out laughing in their face. It was a fantastic way to cut through the bull. I think of all the things we'll miss, it's your warmth. You were generous with your smiles and cuddles for all the children, but with adults you were crap at hugs. But the genuine and individual was more personal than anything anyone else could ever hope for in a friend. You were great, you are great, and you will always be great.